Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy. We are back here in the Push Comedy Theater. We are joined by the lovable and lovely Ed Carden, and we're going to talk about Marvel's What If.
Thank you, Sean. It's great to be back. Some of you may know that watched my Nerds of Comedy comic book episode.
Right, which that was on the old channel, and it hopefully by this point in time will be re-uploaded to the new channel. We'll talk about all that at another time. But yes.
We're not going to talk about that right now. But if you saw that episode where I talked about the What If comic, you know that What If is probably my favorite Marvel comic book series. And so when Marvel announced they were going to do a series for the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, based on What If, I was excited, but yet cautiously apprehensive because...
Now, I want to ask you about that because... Up to this point, has the MCU, have they had a dud on their hands?
You know, I don't think so.
Maybe like Thor 2?
Here's the thing about Thor 2 is that, you know, a lot of people are down on Thor 2.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I really enjoyed that the MCU creators, when it came time for Endgame, Thor 2 was a very important part of that movie.
It was, yeah. It really, really was.
So those people that are down on Thor 2, it's like, well, you know, guess what? You're wrong.
I was a huge fan of the What If comic book series. In fact, I mean, we had a blast talking about that. In fact, we'd only had scheduled to do a certain number of issues to talk about, but we added more just because we both had so many that we fell in love with. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to review the What If series. We're a little bit behind just because of scheduling and stuff like that. So episode 7 just aired, but hopefully we will catch up to the series relatively soon. So let's talk about episode 1.
Okay. Yeah, episode 1, or what if Agent Carter became Captain America?
Yes.
Or what if she became Captain Carter? I don't know the actual title, but that's what happens. That's the premise.
Okay, so we've already talked about this before we decided to start recording these over the past couple of weeks. We've met up. Well, we're currently teaching a class together, so we will talk about the newest episode. So give your thoughts first.
So, I mean, here's the thing. For the first episode right out of the gate, I know for me personally, like, it exceeded my expectations. Now, part of that is because, you know, again, I was cautiously apprehensive about this series. You know, anytime that something you really, really like gets adapted, you're like, you know, I have all these thoughts and ideas. I have all these expectations. And, you know, you try to push those as far to the side as you can and just enjoy it for what it is. And, you know, coming in, you know, kind of like unsure of what they were going to do with it, you know, overall, and in the first episode, you know, I was like, okay, this is good. I liked the first episode, and you know, it's like, you know, if I could, I'm gonna like the animation they use for these is really good. It's well animated. You know, for the most part, they get the live action actors do the voices, and that's the thing is like I was thinking about this on the way here, is that you know even when they have someone doing like a replacement voice. You know, the voice actors they use sound close enough to where you don't even really notice.
Yeah, I would say this episode, I didn't notice it at all. I think Chris Evans didn't return, but I think everyone else has. So you liked it. I was very disappointed with this episode. We've talked about this. I agree with you. I thought the animation was really good. I thought the action scenes were great. There was a lot of time and devotion to making Captain Carter look like a badass. And Captain America is my favorite Marvel character. I loved the Captain America movies. I love Agent Carter, the series when it was on. I think that's still my favorite Marvel TV show. Haley Atwell, I think, is amazing. I've gone and searched other things that she's done based on her performance as Agent Carter. But I was let down with this episode.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say is that I don't think it's the strongest episode of the series. I do think it's cool in terms of like just like action set pieces.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I think that, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we talk about the other episodes. I think that with What If, despite the fact that these are alternate realities, I think that you are getting some previews of some things that you're going to see in some mainstream MCU movies going forward. And the rumor has it is that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, rumor has it that we might see live action Captain Carter.
See, now that I would be down for. So I guess the biggest problem I had with this episode is that it was pretty much a note for note retelling of the Captain America movie, which you like, especially with the old What If comic books. You like when they do like the note for note retelling of, like, was it Atlantis Attacks or some of the others, where I am more of a fan of taking a premise like, what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? What if Captain America lived after World War II? So instead of retelling a story, they're creating a brand new story off of the what if premise. And I think this episode was very much a retelling of Captain America.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with these and with What If in general, and it's like you do have to show the point of divergence. Mm-hmm. And one thing I will say, like, sort of going off your point, is that I did feel like, thinking about it more, the point of divergence here was kind of weak. Yeah. It seemed like the main difference was that the spy that was trying to stop Project Rebirth basically just decided to start his plan like 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah, and I can't remember, because it's been a couple weeks now since we watched it. Did he just start it early, or was he like found out? I mean,
according to the Watcher's description, and Jeffrey Wright is great as the Watcher,
I agree.
By the way. Mm-hmm. According to the Watcher's description, the point of divergence is Captain Carter, instead of going up to like the control booth, decides to stay on sort of the ground floor where things are happening, which I'm guessing, like, I guess the guy the spy who is going to try to stop it, like, I guess seeing her down there for some reason causes him to, yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where, because I watched Captain Carter twice. I watched it once with Sandy and I, and then I watched it again with my 5-year-old, who's a big MCU fan. And watching it again, I'm like, I'm not sure exactly. Like, it's a little hazy,
right?
So that was a problem that I had with this episode.
I would say so. Overall, I was left underwhelmed. It exceeded your expectations, and like you said, it did leave enough at the end that leads us to believe that there is more to come with this particular storyline. 2 words: Shuma Gorath. Now, I will say, again, I'm more of a DC guy, so I was not familiar with, how do you pronounce it?
Shuma Gorath.
Shuma Gorath. So real quick, because we only have a couple minutes left, what is or who is Shuma Gorath?
Shuma Gorath is a big, kind of like dark elder god, Doctor Strange villain. Even appeared in the Capcom Marvel superheroes fighting games back in the 90s.
Okay.
So big, giant, like extra dimensional squid. Gotcha. Basically,
it was very kind of Cthulhu-esque.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, pretty much. I think Shuma Gorath was created by like Jim Colin and Roy Thomas. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was never a big Doctor Strange fan. Other than the Defenders, I like the Defenders, but his solo book I could never get into. So,
see, I here's the thing. What I'll say is, someone who's read a lot of sort of the early Stan Lee stuff, Doctor Strange is one of the better written.
Okay.
Or one of the ones that holds up the best, in my opinion.
I will check it out, because it was also Steve Ditko.
Yeah. Start. And then Colin's my guy.
Well, I love Roy Thomas, and I do love Gene Colan. So if you put your seal of approval on, I will search out some of the old Doctor Strange and give it a chance.
You should.
All right. So that was episode 1 of Marvel's What If, and we will be back next week for you guys in about 2 minutes for us with episode 2.
See you then.